It's soup day. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to make a quick soup. We're making roasted tomato garlic soup. Yummy. It's got a bit of a kick. I think you're going to like it, so let's get to it right now. Okay, what are we going to need? Well, first off, we need a bunch of tomatoes. Recipe called for 12. I've got 10 smaller ones and a couple plum tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. That should give us a little over 12. We can work with it. We're also going to need one big onion, a bunch of garlic. How about some salt and pepper? We're going to use a little olive oil, some heavy cream, and a little bit of sugar. We're also going to use some chicken broth just to give it a little more soupiness. And if you want to keep it vegetarian, just use vegetable broth instead. And while we're at it, and it's not in the picture, we're going to use some shredded parm. Oh yeah, cheese. Gotta have the cheese. So our first big step now is let's get everything ready to roast. So the first thing we're going to do is preheat our oven 400 degrees. Baking sheet with, this is another baking sheet with parchment paper down. We're going to slice each of the tomatoes in half. Ever so carefully. Just like that. We're going to try and core out the top two while we're at it. Don't really need that top part at all. And we either do it now or we do it when they come out of the oven. You know what? It's easier just to pull them out now. So it looks something like that. We're going to chop all these tomatoes. I think I figured out it was easier to scoop out the top part, the stem, before I sliced them in half. There's quite a lot. I thought I had way too much. I was just following the recipe, and you know what? At the end of the day, you could throw in a few more. It's not going to hurt it. If you want a lot of, if you're a huge fan of tomato soup, you might want to make a bit more. This made a good half stock pot worth of soup, so it was lots. So our next step is we got to season it. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of sugar and just kind of spread it out on each one. It's actually a lot. I was surprised at how much 2 teaspoons did. We're going to put this aside just because we've got onions and garlic to work on. So I got my cutting board out. There's our onion. There's our onion peeled. Now, the idea is you're going to quarter these, but this is a pretty damn big onion. So if you're using a really big onion, you might do like I did, and I actually cut them into 8s. See what I mean? Those are just huge. We put that on the other baking sheet we've got. And now we're bringing out our garlic. Now one method is you just chop the top off, expose all the garlic, and then you kind of pinch them out at the end. I'm just doing it this way. Peel them all right now. Get all that fun stuff out of the way. You should have around 10 cloves of garlic by the time you're done, decent sized ones. And that's about what I got. There was like 2 little small guys I didn't actually even bother to try and peel. But see, you can see here, once you get into it and you do it right, it shouldn't be that hard to peel them. And there you go. So here's what we got, our onions and our garlic. I've actually got about 12 cloves. We're pretty close on to what the recipe said. And we're just going to salt and pepper up the onion. Once it roasts, it gets pretty sweet. A little bit on the garlic, not too much. And into the oven they go with the tomatoes for 45 minutes. About the 35-minute mark, you're going to want to watch them. It took about 45 minutes. I pulled out the onions and garlic. Tomatoes took another 10 to 15 minutes-ish. It's kind of funny, the garlic roasted on the top. I didn't flip them over. And they kind of look like marshmallows, that you put in the fire. Pretty cool. So we've got to let them cool down so I can get at them and peel the tomatoes. So we'll make a little bit of room here. And the first thing we're going to do is dump our onions and garlic into our bowl. You need a decent sized bowl for this. And I'm just kind of checking to make sure they did roast and everything looks good. Everything looks fantastic right now. Smells beautiful, man. When you pull roasted vegetables out of the oven, man, they taste great. So the idea here, and of course you can't really see it, is we're going to peel each and every one of those tomatoes. It really doesn't take that long to peel them all, right? 10, maybe 15 minutes, and you're good to go. So there's the peels we got left. What a waste. That's the one thing I will peel for. Now our last little ingredient we're going to need is basil. 1/4 cup of chopped basil. And this will be close enough, I think. So I took the stems off, put them all together, rolled them up, chopped them all up. I think that looks fantastic. And we'll put that aside till we need to incorporate them in our soup. So here's our stock pot, just the basic small one. In go our tomatoes. This is on medium heat. Tomatoes, garlic, and onions. Now we're going to put in 3 cups of chicken stock, like that. And now we need to blend it all up. I was going to try doing half of this with my food processor. If you don't have an immersion blender, don't stress. Use the food processor, and honestly, if worst comes to worst, pull out your hand mixer and that should work too. But in no short order, we've got our tomatoes, garlic, and onion all nice and mixed together. Next up goes our basil that we just chopped up. Give it a little green. Well, not really, because it's just going to bury itself in the soup. And off we go, and we're going to stir all that together. But are we done? Oh, no. A little bit of garlic powder. Now, this is optional if you don't want to. The recipe was actually for garlic salt, and I just thought, no, I don't want to put more salt in it. Next up, 1/2 cup of cream. Just like that, in it goes. I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot. And here's our cheese. Now, it's only supposed to be 1/2 cup. I think Abby shredded up about 3/4 cup. I just dumped the whole thing in. Not going to hurt having extra cheese. Immersion blender on. And for the 3rd time, we mix her all together. And that looks and smells fantastic. Let it just sit there for 10 minutes or so. Get your stuff together like a ladle. And just gently mix it around. And we got us a soup. So let's get it into a mug, because that's a drinking soup for sure. Looks good. Looks real good. Can't wait to dig into this. So there you have it. Oven roasted tomato garlic soup. Hey, another great recipe. I hope you'll give it a try. Leave me a comment below, one way or the other. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, because that'll tell you the next time I upload a video. Feel free to share this and any of my other videos. And thanks for stopping by and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.